Have you ever imagined an ordinary individual transforming into a mastermind thief, orchestrating one of the biggest car theft operations in American history? How does someone go from being an office worker to leading a criminal enterprise that steals luxury cars without leaving a trace? Today we delve into the fascinating story of a group of thieves who operated right under the noses of law enforcement, leaving them baffled and unable to catch a single clue. But before we delve into this captivating tale, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to support our channel. Now let's uncover the extraordinary journey of how an unexpected figure turned the bustling streets of New York City into their hunting ground for high-end automobiles. In the bustling streets of New York City, Min Jin Yang, a former Chinese intelligence officer, made an unexpected move. He formed the biggest car theft gang in American history. Their specialty? Swiping luxurious cars without leaving a trace. New York City, known for its opulence, houses a plethora of wealthy individuals who flaunt their expensive rides. This attracted Jin Yang's gang like moths to a flame. In 1999, a spree of car thefts rocked the city, with 48 high-end vehicles disappearing in less than 2 months. The thieves operated swiftly and silently, snatching cars from malls, parking lots, and various spots across the city. What made these thefts peculiar was the vanishing act of the stolen cars. Typically, stolen vehicles would resurface with their pricey parts stripped, but not these. They simply vanished into thin air, leaving the police scratching their heads. The authorities suspected the cars were being shipped out of the country. Brooklyn's port emerged as the prime suspect for such large-scale export operations. It seemed plausible smuggling a large number of cars undetected through the port. Jin Yang's gang had found a lucrative loophole in the system, exploiting New York's abundance of high-end cars and the logistical advantage of its ports. Their operation remained shrouded in mystery, leaving law enforcement grasping at straws. A team from the New York Police Department, especially from the Car Theft Investigation Unit, ventured to Brooklyn's port for an inquiry. Despite their efforts, they found no suspicious activity related to any car theft gang. At that point, they began to suspect they were up against a significant entity, possibly a gang affiliated with organized crime. However, the mastermind behind these operations wasn't even American. He was a man named Min Jin Yang, a former intelligence officer in the Chinese army. Jin Yang's story begins with his discharge from the Chinese army in 1990. Seeking new opportunities, he relocated to Shanghai, a city teeming with wealth but lacking in luxurious cars available for sale. Recognizing an opening, Jin Yang approached gangs in Shanghai with a proposition. Leveraging his military background and expertise in smuggling tactics, he convinced a gang leader to partner with him. Their deal was simple. Jin Yang would procure high-end cars from abroad, and the gang leader would sell them in China for a handsome profit. With a 40-60 profit split agreement in place, the gang leader provided Jin Yang with $500,000 to kickstart his operation. Setting his sights on New York City, Jin Yang knew it was the ideal hunting ground due to its vast array of luxurious cars owned by wealthy residents. Armed with the funds from his partner, he arrived in New York under the alias Kenny, posing as an immigrant trying to make ends meet. To blend in, he drove a modest Nissan Altima, avoiding any flashy displays of wealth. Jin Yang enlisted the help of a trusted associate named Poi Chow to be his right-hand man. Their first task was to secure a warehouse to store the stolen cars until they could be shipped to China. Finding the perfect location proved challenging. They needed a spot far from police stations and free from the prying eyes of law enforcement, a daunting task in crime-ridden New York City. After weeks of scouting, they finally identified a suitable warehouse. To shield himself from potential investigations, Jin Yang set up an anonymous company to rent the warehouse. This way, if authorities probed the company, it wouldn't lead back to him directly, providing a layer of protection. Assembling a crew of trusted Chinese individuals, Jin Yang ensured that only those he could rely on and trust implicitly were involved in his operation. Upon securing the warehouse, the first order of business for Yang and his gang was to camouflage it as a food storage facility. They strategically placed food boxes at the front, giving the impression that the warehouse belonged to a food company. Stocking mostly dry and packed food ensured they could store it for extended periods, maintaining the facade. Next, they installed surveillance cameras both inside and outside the warehouse, meticulously monitoring every corner of the surrounding streets. With their security measures in place, Yang and his crew were poised for the next phase, stealing the cars. Despite Yang's lack of experience in car theft and his aversion to getting his hands dirty, he knew he needed an expert in the field. Scouring car garages and auctions, Yang eventually found Dean, a seasoned car thief. They struck a deal. Dean would oversee the theft operations, either executing them himself or hiring others, while Yang would handle the business end of things. Dean, in turn, enlisted the help of his trusted friend Mario Lopez, an adept car thief. After Dean received the orders from Yang, he relayed them to Mario, who mobilized his network of thieves. They targeted areas frequented by the affluent such as upscale malls, residential streets with luxurious homes, and sometimes even parking lots. Mario's exceptional skills allowed him to execute thefts swiftly and seamlessly. Using his proficiency with computers, Mario bypassed car security systems in under a minute, reprogramming them to start with a normal key. Mario and his team of thieves would carefully scan stolen cars to remove any GPS devices, ensuring they remained undetected. They'd then leave the cars in high-end parking lots for 2 days, checking for police attention before moving them to a secret location near Dean and Mario's warehouse. After confirming no police surveillance, Dean would transport the cars to the warehouse, where Yang's Chinese team took over. They'd inspect, repair, and reprogram the cars for shipment to China. Dean proposed Yang's offer of a guaranteed buyer for stolen cars to Mario, who agreed. With this network in place, Yang kept his distance from the thefts, managing the warehouse discreetly. The prepared cars were loaded into containers disguised as food shipments with fake manifests to divert suspicion. Containers were routed through New Jersey and loaded onto trains bound for California before being shipped to China, masking their activities. After reaching California, the containers were put onto ships, which were supposed to be carrying food. But during the journey, they were secretly moved to another ship heading straight to China. The crew of this second ship knew what was inside and had detailed lists of the cars, making sure everything went smoothly. This elaborate scheme allowed Yang to evade detection and maintain a steady flow of stolen cars to China. Over 5 years, his gang managed to steal thousands of vehicles without leaving a trace. Despite their success, demand in China continued to rise, prompting them to target car dealerships for larger hauls. Mario and Dean executed a swift heist at a dealership, making off with several luxury cars in a matter of minutes. However, one car involved in an accident led to the arrest of a thief who cooperated with the police, divulging information about Mario and Dean's operations. The police were onto Yang's illegal operation, tracking Dean as he led them to Yang's warehouse. But Yang had a friend named Chia who kept an eye out for any police surveillance. When the police closed in, Yang stayed cool and got rid of any evidence from the warehouse without the police noticing. Trucks disguised as food transports carried away the stolen cars and equipment, throwing off suspicion and leaving the investigators with nothing. Yang's careful planning and quick thinking kept his operation running smoothly, frustrating the police at every turn. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Yang and his crew, the police had been watching them closely for 6 months. They were puzzled by how the gang seemed to slip past their surveillance efforts. But they didn't give up, keeping an eye on Dean to uncover the whole network. Then, something big happened. A guy named Kenny got in touch with Dean. The investigators thought Kenny might be the leader of the gang, hinting that they might start stealing again. But what the police didn't know was that Yang was communicating in code and changing phones, often to avoid being caught. However, investigators exploited familial connections, monitoring calls made to and from family members to uncover new phone numbers. Despite Yang's cautious approach, his associate Chia's lack of discretion provided investigators with crucial information. Chia's loose talk about their activities enabled investigators to place a Chinese undercover officer in their vicinity, gathering intel on their plans, including a new warehouse location. As the police intensified their surveillance, they employed more covert tactics, installing surveillance cameras and even placing GPS devices on containers bound for the warehouse. This marked a shift in the power dynamic, with the police now dictating the course of the investigation. Meanwhile, Yang and his gang continued their operations, devising new methods to steal cars. Exploiting vulnerabilities in parking garage security, they struck a deal with a guard to allow them to steal cars, significantly increasing their haul. As the police closed in on the gang, the stage was set for a dramatic showdown between law enforcement and Yang's criminal enterprise. In a bold move, Yang's gang overpowered the garage guard, tied him up, and swiftly made off with a fleet of luxury cars. However, they failed to follow their usual protocol of waiting for 2 days to avoid detection, leading to the police tracking a stolen car equipped with a GPS device. When a concerned individual discovers the tied-up guard and alerts the police, officers arrive at the warehouse where the stolen cars are stored. Unaware of the ongoing investigation, a local police officer approaches the warehouse to investigate the GPS signals. The gang, observing the officer's approach via surveillance cameras, realizes their operation is compromised and flees. Witnessing the workers' abrupt departure, investigators swiftly move to arrest them, apprehending several individuals but failing to capture Yang, known as Kenny. However, the police have been monitoring Yang's residence and promptly arrest him when he leaves his house. Upon interrogation, Yang's true identity as Min Jin Yang, a former military intelligence officer in the Chinese army, is revealed. Despite Yang's evasion, the police are unable to ascertain the destination of the stolen cars due to the premature raid. Yang pleads guilty to enterprise corruption, receiving a 10-year sentence. Despite estimated profits exceeding $40 million, Yang evaded confiscation by keeping the funds in China. The story concludes with the acknowledgement of Yang's cunning and the limitations of law enforcement, urging viewers to like and subscribe to the channel. In the end, Yang proved to be a master of evasion, outsmarting the authorities at every turn in this captivating tale of crime and intrigue. Despite the relentless pursuit of law enforcement, his cunning and strategic brilliance allowed him to evade capture and maintain control of his criminal empire. Yang's story serves as a testament to the ingenuity of the human spirit, leaving us in awe of his audacity and resourcefulness. If you enjoyed this fascinating journey into the world of crime and deception, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, The Untold Stories. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Yang's incredible saga and any other stories you'd like to explore. Join us as we unravel more captivating tales from the shadows of history.